Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Donspektor here. And after we took a look at the train wreck that was the Xins HS10, today we are taking a look at another IEM from the same company. Well, don't be fooled, this says Ivipq Q, but it's essentially Xins. It's basically the same company, they just have a different name here. And yeah, we're taking a look at one of their, I want to say, more interesting offerings. I don't think this one's had flagship, but this has a way more interesting configuration. This uses a 10mm bio-titanium diaphragm DD, whatever that is supposed to mean, with 6 BAs. And it gets even better because, yeah, this thing says it uses 2 of the BAs also for bass, and this isn't very unique, or not super unique. Something like the Monarch, I think MK1 did it as well, but it's definitely very rare. And seeing this at this price point, which is approximately, I think like 220 bucks or something like that, is very intriguing. And that's why I have this thing here, and we take a look today what this thing can or can't do. And similar sass to the HS10, this is its packaging, very nondescript. This is really not looking like anything that is premium. Fortunately, it's opening nicely, and in the inside you get basically just the carrying case, and it's a chonker, right? So if you like yourself small carrying cases, that will not be for you, obviously. This one is reasonably sturdy as the other one of the HS10, so like it should be keeping your IEM safely. But I just don't like the fake leather optics here, honestly. I'm more of a fan, just give me fabric. Fake leather might be a bit easier to clean in the first 2 years, but then it will flake and will be not so great. But at least the color is unique, and yeah, it keeps it safe. Zipper, same as the other for the HS10, like it's somewhat smooth enough, but some of the corners are not the smoothest, but overall gets the job done. Also same as the HS10, you get the nice big net here where you can store all of your accessories. Unlike the HS10, we actually get more like, I would say, legit ear tips. And then in here would be the IEM, which obviously is out because I've been using it. A quick word towards the ear tips here. We actually get their branded ear tips. From Ivipq Q, respectively, 8 Xins, they have a set of ear tips, which is this one here, which I will be reviewing later. And yeah, but you get this random ass silicone ear tips here, which is relatively squishy. And yeah, this also comes with our ear tips, with other IEMs, for instance, from Canon. And these are actually totally fine. Not the best isolating, but definitely comfy. These are a bit unique, and if you like them, well, that's good for you. I will, yeah, take a look at this. This is my next review here. So, accessories is totally fine. I wish there would be foam tips included. And yeah, maybe the packaging a bit more premium for this price. But honestly, it's not a big deal. I always prefer like better IEMs over better accessories because yeah, that's what we actually want. And then today, yeah, we start, I think, with the cable before we go to the IEM. Because the IEM is not that interesting in terms of build. I can give you a quick spoiler here. The cable though, the cable is. So again, this is from Xins, and they are known for cables, and this one definitively again does not disappoint. Let me just show you what we actually get here. So yep, this is like medium thick course here, nicely twisted together. Strain release is working, which is again nice to see. And then we get these like golden dots inside here, which definitively does look unique, and something that you can't see but you can feel. You can actually feel the dots in the plastic/silicone here on the outside. And combined with the general smooth usage of this, I mean, you can see that. That's how I also got it when I unboxed it. It is a very nice cable. I think the only really complaint I have here is, again, this is no texture, and this texture here doesn't really help you because most of the time you would grip it here. So I would prefer contouring or texture in the middle. But other than that, I don't have any complaints here. Yeah. So also if we go further on top here, the splitter, same optics, no complaints. Chin slider actually does slide with enough friction without having too little friction, so it does genuinely stay in place most of the time. It is interesting though that if you basically align the cable, it's exactly right, there's not enough friction. But in reality, if you just if you're just a bit split apart like this, there is usually enough friction to keep it up. So one of those things where really, if it's just aligned right, it is appearing like it doesn't have enough friction. But in reality, after using it for now 2 weeks or so, yeah, I didn't have much issues with the chin slider. And then further on top, let's come to the ear hooks here. And again, let me show you rubberization here. Medium thin, I would say, or medium. So the springiness is actually not too bad, as you can see here. And also the bending radius here again is relatively average, so maybe a tiny bit below that. Shouldn't be an issue for most people, which is also helped because it's just smooth. There's no texturing going on whatsoever. And then last but not least, you can see the 2-pin connector here uses the same style as most other IEMs, but the right side is color-coded, which I do like. And yeah, overall, this cable is really smooth, as you can see here, just having it rolled a bit together. Yeah, it's really nicely usable day to day. And the only thing that I'm not sure if you can actually get it with something that's not a 4.4 Pentacon. I'm totally fine with this. I have enough dongles and enough devices where I can plug this in as is. But yeah, you should probably check again in the AliExpress page if they even offer another cable. I will just put information here in the video later on, because I need to do some research first. So yeah, that's the cable, really nice. And then let's come to the actual IEM here. And where I really enjoyed the HS10, let me just find it. Again, this was the HS10, completely transparent, thick resin, absolutely no complaints in terms of build, lovely optic. Well, yeah, I mean the Phoenixia here, maybe I just remove the cable for a moment. Phoenixia is, I mean, it's alright. This optics here I think is supposed to be phoenix wings or like bird wings. Definitely does look unique-ish enough, I would say. And there's like small, golden particles everywhere inside here. It's okay, I'm not the greatest fan of this optic, but I mean, you do you. And build-wise, this definitely, you notice, uses thinner resin than the HS10. Again, HS10 here, just for comparison. This thing is around about $100, while this is like $200 or $220. So you notice this one, for it being a bit on the tiny bit smaller actually in real life. So you can see here and also comparison. This seems to be more solid and a bit heavier than this. So yeah, this does not feel most premium in your hand. But because it's semi-custom and it uses resin, like there isn't much to complain overall. One thing what I will be complaining about, and I have complained in my unboxing, this hole here is a bit big. Here again, let me compare to the HS10. You can see they put a small metal inlet in here, so the hole is a bit smaller. That protects from bigger chunks, but this here does not. And I really wish they would put a small mesh inside or something to make it a bit smaller so dirt doesn't get in so easily. Then 2-pin connector, not color matched, but integrated flushly. No complaints with that. And last but not least, the nozzle. Let me just remove the ear tip I'm using here. Yep, you can see it's not a one-piece design, it's a metal inlet here. And it seems to be integrated well. And yeah, last but not least, the mesh here. Yep, also integrated well, no problems overall. Oh, and what I did like here, the nicely readable R indicator here, very well readable. It's even a bit integrated into the resin here, so it won't even rub off over time. Yeah, and overall for this price, I guess the build is okay. Like, there isn't much I can complain about besides, yeah, this hole here, which really is a bit too big. But also doesn't blow me away for this price point. I have definitely seen better made IEMs here. Then, next, let's tackle comfort and fit. And let me again give you the A-B comparison to the HS10 here. You can see while the Phoenixia is a bit, I want to say like more like narrow, it is definitely a bit wider overall, and it also comes off as a tiny bit deeper than the HS10 overall. And this one was HS10, not even a small IEM. Well, this one actually is even a bit bigger in my ear. It also does insert a bit deeper, as you can easily see in the A-B comparison here. And yeah, to my ear, it does insert a bit too deep. I actually do need the, something like this, the SpinFit Omni or some other small and short ear tips to get this to fit right. And yeah, with that, well, it is fine. I don't love deep insertion, but with the SpinFit Omni, I can wear this also for a few hours without much complaint. But I wish it would insert a bit less deep. But if you have a bit bigger ears, which I don't, or ear canals specifically, I think you should be okay with this. Maybe the biggest issue with this is again the nozzle diameter, which I think I measured. Give me a moment. Nozzle diameter, here. Yeah, it's rather big. It's 6.3 millimeters with 5.6 beneath. So yeah, again, it could be a bit better. Yeah, but overall, not much to complain in terms of comfort and fit. Then next, isolation, and yeah, coming from the HS10, where I said it does isolate pretty well. Actually, definitely quite a bit above average, and it works for all situations. Well, the Phoenixia, as I said, thinner material, yeah, and even the nozzle here not being a one-piece resin, I think this helps its case in terms, it just doesn't isolate as well. Sure, it is not like bad isolating, but I would say it's pretty average, alright. If I get this to insert correctly with the right tip, I would really say it's just average isolating. If I get this inserted really deeply, lightly above average, and foams, yeah, because it is a bit deeper inserting, honestly, I couldn't get the foams to fit kind of right enough. And the cut foams I use actually did work, but somehow I don't love cut foam on this one in terms of comfort, so I prefer definitively silicone tips with it. But if you use foam, I think this should be good even for busy main roads. It's just not as good as other IEMs out there. But yeah, I would say with foam, above average, but without foam, it's just average. So coming to drivability here, and yeah, this clocks in at 12 ohms at 103 decibels for a hybrid. So it is expectedly very efficient on paper, and I can tell you in reality, it is too. Even on the Apple dongle, it worked absolutely fine, no complaints whatsoever. And upping the power to something like the Up-5, which was what I used most of my time listening to this, yeah, it got me maybe a tiny bit better imaging and a tiny bit better bass response, tightness, I mean, but really there isn't much going on here or much improvement. So I would say, yeah, just you'll be fine with the Apple dongle. About 90% of what it is capable of with, yeah, the Apple dongle you can get. And yeah, upping the power to desktop setup didn't yield any improvement as expected, like really was just sounding exactly the same. And then next, let's come to sound, and I will be comparing this to, I wouldn't say a few meta sets here, this will be Supermix 4. Most of the time I'll be comparing it, because something like the Quintet, while being more price performance wise in the same region here, honestly is not as well tuned as the Supermix is, so I would prefer the Supermix as A-B comparison here. But in between I will probably also throw in something like the AJ07M, which is basically Supermix, or also something like the 02, so you can see how this compares to some cheaper meta sets. And as you can see by graph, well, this is a, you could say like lightly V-shaped, lightly U-shaped set. It's between, definitely right between V and U-shaped here. And that means you do get basically everything you want. And I will be tackling this now in the detailed section. First, Upper-Treble. And yeah, I mean, you can see it on the graph here. There is a lack of Upper-Treble with this one. The roll-off is, I want to say, per graph, like naturalish. And definitively less pronounced than it was on the HS10, but honestly it's a bit lacking. Compared to Supermix, there's not enough Upper-Treble going on. Compared to Quintet, also not enough Upper-Treble going on. And I wish this would be really something where they would have maybe put one more BA in here and really just use it as ultra tweeter or on piezo, like something that just gives it the remains of air in quotes, but this is a bit lacking. It is not bad overall, absolutely not. But definitely other sets for cheaper get you more Upper-Treble, and that means usually also a better feeling of micro details here. Maybe even a microplanar would be really going a long way here, giving this the last things that it misses. But yeah, everything else, honestly, it's basically flawless to my taste. Again, in comparison to the Supermix or other IEMs, I mean, you can see it is a bit more on the brightish side here, definitively leaning more towards V-shaped in that sense, but it's not bad at all. And for my personal flavor, where again, let me stress, I like bright sets, this is exactly hitting home for me. It really does everything I wanted to do. And yeah, I mean, you will now see the graph like, there are peaks here. Yeah, sure there are peaks, bro. And if you're really sensitive to 5K, this will probably be the point of contention here. Because yes, this has a real 5K peak to my ear. And the only thing that saves it is basically that it is below the 3K peak. And that means it is usually overshadowed by the 3K peak. But it really depends on your hearing. For me, this is overshadowed, and for most other people probably. But if you know you're sensitive to 5K, this will be a bit much for you. And one thing though, the 8K peak that you see on the graph, while it resolves on the coupler at 8K, my ear more resolves it like 8.5 to 9K, so I didn't have sibilance with this. But again, as it is the case with most of the peaks here in this region, it really depends on your hearing as well. Like, some people will probably have this at 8K, other people maybe at 7 and other at 9K. Really, it depends on the ear tip you're using and on your hearing. So if you have a problem with 8K peak, maybe just try change the tip. I personally did not, but I can definitely tell you that there is more energy going on with other sets. For instance, Supermix or Quintet, somehow they come off as a bit less in this region, even for the graph does indicate they are kind of on the same level. But yeah, that brings me to mids. And the good news here continue. There is a light warmth going on, definitely lower mids. They do get a bit of additional energy here, which is honestly for me not perceivable as bleeding. But there's arguably some warmth here, and I think some people will be like, they prefer a real crisp cleanness that something like the AJ07M or the Quintet gets you, or Supermix, I mean, sorry. But for me, honestly, this was not an issue at all. And the mids, while not being the most clean, they were still pretty crisp overall, and I didn't have any problems with it. And actually, yeah, enjoyed most of my library of this. Linkin Park, for instance, where sometimes I was feeling, yes, a bit not so here. Really nicely done with this one, and really no complaints. Even in busy passages, absolutely nothing. And then bass here, and yeah, I mean, you can see by graph, you do get a decent amount of mid bass, you do get a bit of upper bass going on as well. And that means usually this is having a very good body overall, a very good tonality. And yeah, also what I do like about it, it actually sounds like it punches, it slaps, and it rattles, and it hums when it's needed, but then it's not needed, it doesn't. Again, if you really like clean bass, yeah, it's a tiny bit bloated, you could argue, but to my ear, it just doesn't resolve as that. And that means even orchestral sounds or jazz really work nicely with this one. And yeah, something like synthwave, which usually lives through heavy bass lines, also very well done with this. Yeah, overall tonality really nice, and I don't know if this is the combination of the BA here with the bio-titanium driver, but both really work well together, and honestly I'm not able to perceive them separately. First, I'm also a bit worried there that there might be the decay of the BA that is basically being a bit too fast, and then you just hear like an hum after that from the DD that is just a bit slower. I can't perceive it as that, which doesn't say it's not there, it just means I can't hear it, and if you are sensitive to this, you could maybe hear it, I just can't. And that means, also in terms of technicality, it is not the absolute fastest bass out there. Definitely some BA sets pure BA sets, will definitely be doing better, and even some of the planar sets will probably out-resolve this in terms of bass. But for this price point, I don't see many complaints here. Like, the bass is technical, it is fast enough, it resolves even multiple bass lines at once relatively well. And yeah, I think most people really enjoy the bass representation with this one here. Coming to the other technicalities here, soundstage, layering, and imaging. Yeah, first, the soundstage is pretty much average. Yeah, I can't say more than this. There's a tiny bit of height and width going on, but really it's not as much as other IEMs out there. And really, soundstage by itself, its size is not really a strong point. But layering, on the other hand, you do get 5 layers in basically all tracks that there are, or what I tested with this. I didn't really get 7 layers, I have to confess, but I guess if you're really listening carefully, there might even be 7 layers here. Really, to my ear, it sounds like a very well layering IEM, which is also true for the imaging. Yeah, really, this images very well, and in most of my songs, I could listening to fine details that happen a bit in the front, a bit in the back, a bit up, and in gaming, also absolutely no issue. Heck, I would say this is a very well imaging IEM overall, and really, you can use this basically for anything, like Hunt Showdown should be absolutely whirring like a charm, and you won't be missing anything here. And the next, separation, dynamics, and coherence here. And yeah, probably helped by the strong imaging here might also be separation, because it does separate pretty damn well. Even busy instrument lines with vocals and bass, everything together is well separated. And really there's not much an issue that I can talk about in this sense. Also dynamics, honestly, while not being mega amazing, like some single DD sets are better, yeah, this is pretty damn dynamic for a hybrid set like this. It definitely is more dynamic than most planar sets I've listened to over the last years, and also more dynamic than most of the other hybrid, tribal sets, or even some of the, yeah, just pure BA sets. So really, dynamic is well done by the set. And coherence, also I can't really complain about it at all. There might be a tad of BA timbre going on overall, and yeah, you probably can tell the BA is apart a bit. But me personally, I would again just say I can't in day-to-day listening. If I really focus on it, there's a light graininess happening here, but really it's not bad at all. And in day-to-day listening, really, I don't notice it. So yeah, bringing me to the verdict. While we had an absolute train wreck with the HS10 here, where really the only thing positive I could say about it is fit, isolation and optics, but sound really garbage without EQ. Heck, this does not need EQ at all. It is very well tuned. It is very technical for the price point. It looks cool enough and it fits well enough while being a bit on the bigger side. And also it comes with a nice cable. And yeah, I mean, the accessories in terms of tips could be a bit better. But I don't really think this is much of a complaint if it sounds this good. And that's why I will recommend the Ivipq Phoenixia. It does sound really well to my ear, and I think you should definitely give it a chance if you're on the market for 200-ish set here. Way better than I expected coming from the HS10. And yeah, I would say this could be one of those new like secret tips. It's close enough to the meta game with just a bit of warmth and a bit of treble on top that it strikes a nice balance between V and U-shaped. And I really enjoyed. Yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this review though. If you have any questions, recommendations, or criticisms, please leave a comment. Donspektor out.